Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to The Audio Analyst. Today, before I introduce the exceptional performance and remarkable value that the moderately priced Mobile Fidelity MasterPhono Phonostage represents, the historian in me wants to make sure you understand why it is so noteworthy. Since Mobile Fidelity's humble beginnings as an independently owned audiophile recording company by recording engineer Brad Miller in March of 1958, it has undergone many transformations and established the bar by which all who have followed in their pioneering LP remastering footsteps since, other specialty LP manufacturers like Acoustic Sounds, CBS Master Sound, Classic Records, DCC, Impex, Nautilus, or Speaker's Corner, must be measured. The first recording on the Mobile Fidelity label was a field recording of a Southern Pacific steam locomotive. Later LPs included other steam trains, environmental sounds, and orchestral music, eventually leading them to more popular recordings. By 1978, MoFi began to acquire licenses that allowed them to remaster, at half speed, many popular recordings from such contemporary artists as Supertramp, Steely Dan, and Al Stewart. 1981 through 1983 brought the release of the 8 original UHQR releases, the MFQR series. The UHQRs were not only mastered at half speed, but they were also pressed in Japan on JVC's advanced super vinyl formulation as 200-gram LPs limited to 5,000 pressings each, issued in hand-numbered deluxe box sets. They also released a companion series of high-fidelity pre-recorded cassette tapes and moved into the production of optical disc media, pressing CDs in both aluminum and gold plating. But with the inevitable rise of the compact disc, after filing for bankruptcy in November of 1999, the original Mobile Fidelity went out of business. In 2001, Jim Davis, owner of Chicago's well-established Music Direct, purchased not only the Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab name, but its established proprietary mastering equipment and process, as well as all associated intellectual property, sparking an incredible resurgence. Soon, there were new releases and titles reissued under the MoFi Original Master Recording banner. But 2016 represented a milestone year for the brand, with the realization of a new hyper-performance series of LPs and their entry into the manufacture of consumer electronic components. Created in the spirit of the original early 80s UHQR offerings, the Ultra Disc One-Step series premiered with the release of Carlos Santana's second record, Abraxas. This UD1S process, after eliminating the industry-standard 3-step lacquer replication process, bypassing 2 unnecessary steps of generational loss, they were also stamped as 200-gram pressings from the latest, quietest, semi-translucent super vinyl formulation. That same time saw the introduction of a line of audio products carrying the MoFi Electronics badge, with offerings including turntables, phonostages, phono cartridges, loudspeakers, and accessories, all of which were developed in collaboration with some of the industry's most prominent and successful designers. Their turntable and cartridge lineup represents a collaboration with Alan Perkins, founder of Spiral Groove. Loudspeakers are designed by industry legend Andrew Jones, whose decades of design experience at B&W, Infinity, Pioneer, TAD, and ELAC speak for themselves. And linking us to today's MasterPhono Phonostage, their lead audio products electronics design engineer, hired in 2020, is longtime colleague Peter Madnick. With over 45 years as a prolific industry designer, leading to something on the order of 450 products delivered to the consumer electronics market. That's right, I said 450. Think about that. Peter began his audio journey in much the same manner as many others did in the early and mid-1970s. At 15, he took a position in a local stereo store as a stock boy at first, and in short order, made the transition to the sales floor. In 1977, he and two colleagues partnered a new stereo store, Natural Sound, opened in Framingham, which is also home to Bose, and headed off to Babson College. 1979 saw him join Denison Electronics for a stint, but it was with his move to California some 6 years later, and after consulting there for a time, that I first heard his name when, in 1988, he co-founded Audio Alchemy with Mark Shifter. Audio Alchemy originally offered a lineup of game-changing, reasonably priced digital audio converters, reclockers, and anti-jitter devices, and soon added amplifiers, preamplifiers, phonostages, headphone amps to their offerings. What many music lovers my age may recall about Audio Alchemy was that they were among the first to champion the use of the I2S digital interface. When Audio Alchemy dissolved in the late 1990s, he spent some time designing video projectors for Runco and working on group projects at Monster Cable, starting in 1998. Then, in 2008, he was chosen to lead the extremely capable Constellation audio engineering team. After his success in delivering world-class performance with Constellation Audio, his resurrection of the Audio Alchemy brand in 2013 not only proved his accomplishments in crafting more affordable products yet again, it led to ELAC's decision to acquire the brand in 2016. Though he still designs and consults for ELAC and other brands, 2020 saw Mobile Fidelity invite him to serve as their senior electronics engineer. The remarkable MasterPhono Phonostage under evaluation here is his first realization for the brand. It's time to take a closer look at this remarkable machine. Its physical layout and conceptualization are extraordinary. Under the budgetary constraints set for this phonostage, a separate external linear power supply and all that would entail was out of the question. But that didn't deter Peter. His response was an extraordinary exploitation of the two-box approach in a single multi-stage chassis. Two compartments physically separated from one another by a space of 1.5 inches, but using three roughly 1-inch diameter copper cable conduits, each of them spaced apart by roughly 7 inches to transfer signal and power between the two. With its indisputably retro appearance, at 17 inches wide, standing some 3.5 inches tall, starting with the frontmost 5.5-inch deep compartment, the MasterPhono's faceplate holds the rectangular power button, its large dual VU meters that allow both monitoring of and or the ability to calibrate the phono cartridge azimuth, the meter on-off switch, its input selector, which is also used to dim its illumination, a string of LED indicators to display the current loading and gain settings, its high-pass filter and mono switch, and the loading and gain selectors. It also houses the unit's cascaded voltage-regulated power supply, as well as all logic and microprocessing components. After the 1.5 inch gap between the two subchassis, the rear 8.5-inch deep compartment protects all the low-voltage, extremely sensitive circuitry, including the unit's multiple inputs and output, its passive RIAA equalization and discrete JFET amplification circuitry, all within a temperature-controlled, shielded copper enclosure. The rear panel includes the IEC socket and AC rocker switch and a USB-C upgrade port. Each input, both the traditional voltage input and its unique current or transimpedance input, as well as the output, will all allow for either RCA or XLR connectivity. If you are paying attention, you should recognize that this elegantly implemented, brilliantly simple, and effective solution permits the convenience and affordability of using a quasi-single chassis unit, yet provides for the rejection and shielding of EMI, RFI, and parasitic induction for the susceptible surrounding circuitry, and you may begin to understand what kind of magic this Phonostage can deliver. Talk about an abundance of functionality and options. A fully discrete design from input to output with 4 gain selections for either moving magnet or moving coil cartridges ranging from 40 to 70 decibels in 10 decibel increments, and 10 loading options, including a set of RCA jacks on the back panel to accommodate the implementation of any custom value you may wish to use. And it should easily satisfy even the most demanding of vinyl phis. Oh, and all those gain and loading options are adjustable from your listening position using the included full-function remote control. It's a substantial affair. A sturdy metal box some 6.5 by 2 inches wide by 1 inch tall, with its 12-button arrangement weighing in at just over half a pound. Aside from the control of gain and loading, it allows for input selection, power cycling, muting, mono, filter engagement, and lighting control. Like many considerably more pricey Phonostages, such as the 31,000 CH Precision P1, for example, the MasterPhono includes a moving coil current input circuit, an option tailored to maximize the performance from low source impedance phono cartridges by utilizing transimpedance dynamic loading. Unlike traditional voltage mode circuits, transimpedance-based circuits amplify the cartridge's current rather than its voltage, implementing the cartridge's native gain and loading preferences. The results are often realized as an even greater reduction in noise, improved tracking and damping, enhanced transparency, detail, sound staging, and enrichment of the air and space around instruments and vocals. With a frequency response given as 10 Hz to 50 kHz, plus or minus 0.2 of a decibel, exceptional signal-to-noise ratios of 93 decibels for moving coil or 85 decibels for moving magnet cartridges, and an RIAA accuracy of plus or minus 0.05 of a decibel. This thing measures better than some Phonostages selling for 3 or 4 times its asking price. But how does it sound? While there are several areas of performance where the MasterPhono simply cannot compete with the finest world-class Phonostages available today, there are many more areas where it not only patently exceeds in its class, but bests many other Phonostages, costing several times as much. Let's focus on its strengths. Whether pimping out my second space system using my vintage micro Seiki table fitted with a Monster Cable Sigma Genesis 2000 cartridge, or slumming it in my reference rig fed from my Kronos Pro LE, its supercapacitor power supply, Kronos Discovery RS arm, and Etsuro Gold cartridge, this upstart Phonostage couldn't refrain from strutting its sonic accomplishments. As the heart of either of my analog systems, I was immediately struck by its enveloping and stark quietness, an almost tangible silence, one that allowed the music to emerge and soar from a near perfectly black background, conspicuously free of any distracting low-level noise. After taking up residency in my reference rig, Just as apparent was its generous degree of mid-range transparency, fleshed out with an unforced and authentic tonality, articulate without being exaggerated or spotlit, yet rife with a liberal helping of body and bloom, revealing its uncanny ability to uncover detail with astonishing refinement, while providing for an extremely organic and involving presentation. A closer examination of its frequency and tonal characteristics, starting with its foundation, reveals that bass is solid, tight, and rendered with exceptionally well-defined pitch. The lowest octaves are offered with authoritative weight, impact, and impressive slam, with no discernible softening or slurring. Mid-range tone and texture are among this preamp's more significant gifts to listeners. Everything from pipe organ to cymbal, from pianos to strings, from horns to the human voice, is presented with unadorned purity, unambiguous tonal accuracy, and an effortless and concise sense of resolution. Treble is purely portrayed, clean, laden with detail, and highly resolved, resulting in an almost magical presentation of the top octaves, extending smoothly beyond the audible bands, rendering both focus and air to spare. When it comes to the precise portrayal of spatial cues, natural soundstage layering, and accuracy of image location and sizing, as well as its ability to portray dynamic events of both micro and macro varieties in all their complex shadings with uncannily appropriate scale, it approaches the performance of the very best I've heard. And while it may not recover the last scintilla of resolution or transparency when contrasted to some more zealous designs, its capacity to serve up remarkably precise leading-edge transients, teeming with trailing decay and ambient nuance, to render a remarkably detailed and intricate view into the performance, one that is full-bodied as well as descript and refined. It establishes the bar for its class, and honestly, for many other entrants that cost considerably more. If I were to choose a single word to best depict the MoFi Electronics MasterPhono Phonostage's performance characteristics, that word would be balanced. While I don't think anyone would suggest that the MasterPhono is affordable to every budget, what it delivers to those able to include its laudable contributions to their system is an unparalleled balance of performance, convenience, versatility, and affordability. And all of these deftly accomplished attributes are delivered well below what it would cost to enjoy them from any other phonostage known to me. While I cannot begin to count the number of phonostages I've evaluated or listened to over the past 5 decades, I can say that every so infrequently, a component comes along that redefines what can be accomplished at its price. The MoFi Electronics MasterPhono Phonostage is a perfect example of such an overachiever. A sincere tip of my hat to both Mobile Fidelity for choosing to realize such an outstanding component, and to the venerate Peter Madnick for yet again demonstrating that he is one of the most accomplished and gifted designers of our time. As such, the MoFi MasterPhono Phonostage earns my most enthusiastic recommendation. As always, thank you for taking the time to drop by today. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.